What is going on, guys? Today is February 12th, 2022. A lot of shit happened in the NFL over this last week, and I'm actually kind of happy that I've waited a whole week to make a video about it because there's a lot of stuff in this video now that we can talk about because a lot of shit did happen, of course. Well, first of all, I want to tell you guys this little Karl Malone USA. I don't know if you can see it because the glare. There you go. I got this at Target. Milo, shut up, dude. I'm making a video with this Karl Malone thing. I bought it at Target. It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna open it because then it loses its stuff. So I'm gonna just put it right here so all you can see it. It's a USA version, like when he was on the USA team too. So that's even more cool. And we got OU right here because we don't have anything. I'm trying to get one thing for every team that I like. So OU, Packers, then I need to get like KU and stuff. But anyways, back to what we were saying. There's a lot of shit going on in the NFL, but there's also some good shows going on that I've watched in the last week too that I want to talk about, like on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix. It's called The Worst Roommate Ever. It's like a episode. It's like 4 episodes that are out right now, but the first one is the best. It's the first one, spoiler alert, is about this old lady. She's like 65, but she had a past of like crime stuff. She went to jail, so like they were keeping like track of her because she's a felon or whatever. But she lived in Sacramento, and Sacramento had like a really, well, still does. California still does, like, especially Los Angeles has a homeless problem. But in Sacramento, I forgot when this was, maybe the 70s, but she would take in homeless people off the streets and tell them that, because she would say that she used to be a nurse, so she would pick up homeless people off the streets, take them in their house, or take them in her house, and like they thought they were going to get taken care of and stuff. And she would usually go after victims of like people that lived there, but they didn't have any family or anything, so nobody's really going to like contact them. And what she would do was, eventually over time, she would give them a drink, and she would put drugs in there, like poison or whatever, and it would kill them. And then when they would get their social security check, she would cash it and she would get the money. And then they didn't know that he was dead. They thought that he was getting taken care of, so they kept sending the check. But she was the one that was actually cashing it the whole time. And she ended up burying all of them in the backyard. She killed like 4 people and buried them in the backyard, I think, on the episode. But she killed way more than 4 people, but she only buried 4 people in the backyard that they found. So yeah, that was a pretty crazy show. And then the Kanye West documentary, it's like, I forgot how many episodes it was, but I've seen like 3 of them. That show is pretty good. Or not show. The documentary is pretty good. Kanye West now is a weirdo. He's psycho. So, I don't know what's going on with him. I didn't know he was in a crash either. And I did not know his mom's name was Donda either. So we watched till I watched it. So that was pretty fun to learn. But no, I haven't watched it since. So I don't know what's going on anymore. But to the NFL news now, because I know that's what you're all here for, is of course, I'm going to lead the show off with Aaron Rodgers coming back to the Packers. Ian Rappaport said that it was a 4-year, $200 million deal, which Aaron Rodgers came out and said that was a lie. And he didn't say what his contract was. He says he was coming back to the Packers. In my opinion, he's going to retire after this year. So this is his last year with the Packers. And everybody on TV, like all the sports analysis and everything, they all say that it started, Aaron Rodgers got disgruntled with the Packers when they drafted Jordan Love. But let me tell you, as a Packers fan, it started way before that, and I seen this coming a long time ago. Because the Packers don't do anything to help Aaron Rodgers. They put it all on him. And I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers has, like, last year's playoffs, that was on Aaron Rodgers. Like, he could have gave the ball. He only threw the ball to Devontae Adams pretty much. He could have threw it to somebody. Like Randall Cobb, they brought in Randall Cobb, but he didn't do shit. Which Randall Cobb Packers receiver drafted by the Packers before he left, and Randall Cobb and Aaron Rodgers have a good relationship. That's the reason they brought Randall Cobb, but he had like, let me check his stats. Randall Cobb. Oh well, he didn't have enough stats for me to check, but yeah, he brought out Randall Cobb for that only reason. He didn't do anything, so he's likely out of town. And then they franchised Devontae Adams, of course, but now they're like back to $40 million, negative $40 million in the cap. So I assume Zadarius Smith is going to get released, probably because he's like the biggest cap casualty on the team. Zadarius Smith probably going to get released, and I would assume probably Preston Smith, lean on Rashawn Gary, and probably draft a linebacker, and or pick one up in free agency. Not free agency. What am I talking about? I'll probably draft one because that's what the Packers do anyway. They just draft and develop, which is another reason why this whole thing is gone on, because the Packers don't spend in free agency, and you see all these other teams putting players around their guys. Sorry, I'm looking out the window for the mailman. But yeah, they spend all this money on their team to surround their quarterback, and the Packers traditionally have never done that. The first time they did that I can remember was a couple years ago when they brought in Preston and Zadarius Smith and Adrian Amos. That was like the most money they spent in a while in free agency. They used to they made big splashes in free agency like through the years, like the signing of Reggie White, the signing of Charles Woodson. Like those are big splashes, but that was one like a couple times. Like the last few years ago, that was really the big spending for spree, and now it's coming back to bite us in the ass. So you can take that for what you will, but so next year for the Packers, I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to retire after next year, so it's probably the best. Probably need to go all in next season, and it's going to help the return of David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers on the offensive line, because all three of those players, David Bakhtiari tore his ACL. He came back for one game, the game before the playoff game, but he didn't play in the playoff game, so I don't know what's going on there. But he should be coming back. Elton Jenkins should be coming back. He also had a knee injury. Josh Myers should be coming back. He was looking like one of the best rookie centers last year before he got hurt. Elton Jenkins, he's already a Pro Bowler, and this is going to be his fourth year or third year, I believe. So with those three players back on the offensive line, and with Billy Turner, which they're probably going to have to let him walk, so they're probably going to have to replace him. Probably a cheaper guy that's already on the roster, like Josh Neesman or something like that. But they should probably, they'll probably let him go. They should replace him. So, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff that happened in the NFL, and not just that. Of course, I was going to start the show off with that, and that was going to be the main thing, because that's all I thought was going to happen. But luckily, more stuff happened, and the Broncos and the Seahawks did trade, which is ironic because the Broncos were the team that the Seahawks beat in the Super Bowl, and they're trading Russell Wilson to the Broncos, that's funny to me. I mean, it might not be a big deal, but that's just something that as soon as I read it, that's what I thought of. But yeah, Denver has started 11 different quarterbacks since Peyton Manning retired. So John Elway was the main man making decisions up there. So it's funny, like as soon as he steps back, their team gets a lot better. Well, not a lot better. They haven't played yet. But that's what I'm going to talk about. Like, the Russell Wilson trade to the Broncos is great. I do think the Broncos are going to be good. But the only thing, like, from looking at it from both sides, if you want to talk about how the AFC and Khalil Mack getting traded to the Chargers, we'll talk about that in a bit. Of course, you have the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Everybody knows who the Chiefs are. The Chargers, Um, I would put them ahead of the Broncos in the division right now, just because you've seen them play together for 2 years. You've seen Justin Herbert for 2 years now. You haven't seen Russell Wilson play for the Broncos yet. Even though I do expect him to be good and finish second in the division, um, I'll just put the Chargers ahead of them right now because you already know what the Chargers are, and they're going to be a lot better next year too. So it's going to be really tough. And then you have the Broncos, of course, they have Russell Wilson now, Jerry Jeudy on the offensive side of the ball, Tim Patrick on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, I mean, I don't really know that much of the Broncos, but I know their defense is pretty good. Von Miller is probably going to come back to the Broncos. He didn't hint at it in free agency, but like he never wanted to leave the Broncos, so he never wanted to leave the Broncos. So he's going to probably, if he gets released from the Rams or if he doesn't resign from the Rams, I can see the Broncos as the only team that he's going to have on his mind to go to. Now with the Russell Wilson trade, now there's a quarterback, because when he was with the Broncos, there was not a quarterback, and now there's a quarterback, a pretty damn good one too. And people are saying the Seahawks won this trade, and I don't think so, because they got back Drew Lock, who we don't know what Drew Lock is. Well, some people do. The Broncos organization, they think they know what Drew Lock is, and that's why they traded him to the Seahawks. But for the Seahawks and Drew Lock, he could get a fresh start with Seattle, and maybe he can turn his career around, and maybe lead him to the playoffs. But yeah, trading Russell Wilson to the Broncos and the release of Bobby Wagner in the same day, like that was like the Seahawks like franchise top two players, Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner, and it's crazy they would let him go on the same day. But yeah, that Seahawks team was the early 2010s, the Legion of Boom team with Marshawn Lynch on the other side of the ball, Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Brandon Browner. Yeah, that was a good football. But every time the Packers and Seahawks played in that era of football, I always knew some fuck shit was gonna happen, because of course the onside kick when Brandon Bostic jumped in front of Jordy Nelson, who probably top two receiver. Goes Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson. But at the time, Jordy Nelson was the best Packers receiver and the best receiver on the team at the time. And Brandon Bostic jumped in front of him. Of course, the onside ball bounced off his helmet and into the hands of the Seahawks, and they ended up winning the game. And we could have went to the Super Bowl, and that's what Aaron Rodgers is pissed about, all these times that they were so close to the Super Bowl, and the Packers didn't do anything to improve the team. That's the whole deal with all this drama going on for the last 2 years. And people on TV, the sports analysts on TV, don't know what they're talking about. So because they're getting paid to say what they tell them to say. So especially ESPN. ESPN is the worst, because they're not allowed to say what they actually feel, and that's the stuff I don't want to hear. So yeah. Oh shit, my computer's turned off. But yeah, the AFC West is going to be tough. And not just the AFC West, it's going to be the whole AFC. Because, of course, you have the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, MVP quarterback. He was hurt last year. He was looking good last year, and then he got hurt. So I feel like everybody's forgetting about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, but Lamar is still the quarterback. And then you have the Titans, who have A.J. Brown, and then Julio Jones for another year. Derrick Henry coming back for a full year. So the Titans are going to be good. And they got the number 1 seed last year, so everybody's ignoring that the Titans got the number 1 seed. And basically without Derrick Henry. So imagine what the team is going to be with Derrick Henry, with the addition of Julio Jones on the offensive side. The play action up top to Julio. If Julio can ever get healthy, because he's always hurt, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. And I don't know why I just thought of this, but when AJ Green got traded to the Cardinals, that I thought he was going to be, that team was going to be really good, but he didn't really do anything either. And now there's all that drama with Kyler Murray wanting a big extension before the draft, which it might happen just because of the way the NFL is going. Like quarterback makes a fuss and gets what he wants. So plus, well, not plus, but also Deshaun Watson. Well, we could talk about that later. Right now, the AFC, like I was saying, is going to be really tough, and not even like I feel like people are just like not giving the Raiders any credit either. Like the Raiders are still in that division. They have Josh McDaniels now as the head coach, who of course was the assistant coach for so many years with Tom Brady and the Patriots. He took the job at Indianapolis to go be the Colts head coach, but like he changed his mind right before. He was the coach of the Broncos before. That's why he got his start at, not his start, but like that was his first head coaching gig. Didn't work. So now he went back. Now he went back to head coaching. So yeah, the Raiders, if Josh McDaniels can coach up Derek Carr, like he wasn't really coaching up Tom Brady because you can't really coach Tom Brady. He already knows. If he can help Derek Carr, and the Raiders, I feel like, because the Raiders always play that division tough no matter what. They always play that division tough. And with the Chargers, they have now Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa on each side, so that division is just going to be tough. I've been thinking about it, like, of course, Patrick Mahomes. Everybody knows Patrick Mahomes, so, and until you see someone knock off the Chiefs, you don't think it can happen. So, man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun season of NFL football. Carson Wentz, of course. Oh, yeah, that's the other trade. Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders. I almost said football team. It's kind of all came full circle because, like, Wentz going to Washington, he's going to be playing in the NFC East, which of course, you know, the NFC East was the division that he started his career in Philadelphia. And Commanders, they allegedly called every team that had a quarterback inquiry. And they landed on Carson Wentz, but you have to feel like kind of, if you were a Washington fan, you could have got the Bronco, or you could have got Russell Wilson for, like, what did he get traded for? 2 firsts, 2 seconds, Noah Fant, and a couple other players. Like, you could have got Russell Wilson for that. But I do think if I know this is I don't think Carson Wentz is a good football player. He did throw 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year, but when you watch him play, like, he could have thrown a lot more interceptions than he did. The other players didn't drop the ball. And it's also crazy. Carson Wentz has thrown exactly 7 interceptions in 4 different seasons, which is actually, like, that's pretty good to be. That's not bad. 7 interceptions is not bad. That's not double digits, but 7 times 4 was that 28. That's 28 interceptions in 4 years. I mean, but to throw that exactly that much, like exactly that number 4 times, 4 different times, that's actually pretty impressive. He's thrown exactly 27 touchdowns in 2 different seasons. So he's a consistent quarterback, consistently bad. But if the Commanders, they're already a set team. They have a good defense, of course, led by Chase Young, and then they just released Landon Collins, I read. But they have a good defense, good defensive line. What is that, like 4 first-rounders on the defensive line with Chase Young, that Payne dude. You know who I'm talking about. But yeah, if Carson Wentz can just go there and manage the game, like he did kind of, and like he needed to do in Indianapolis. Like Indianapolis and Washington are like kind of like the same team. Like they both have a really good defense. They just needed that one. They just needed a quarterback who can manage the game and stay healthy and not turn the ball over and not sprain both of your ankles on the same play. They just needed a quarterback who could do all of that stuff. And I feel like Washington, they did go to the playoffs last year against Tom Brady and the Bucks. They almost beat them actually, with Taylor Heineken as quarterback for the then football team. But and for the Colts, I think they're going to go after I think Jimmy G. In my opinion, they should trade for Jimmy G because it's clear that the 49ers are going to go with Trey Lance, so they could get Jimmy G at a cheap price, like Khalil Mack was for a second and a sixth. And it's not the same position, but you have to bet that you can get Jimmy G for about a third, and that's it. Maybe a third and a sixth, but Jimmy G, he's probably on the move to Indianapolis in the next week. Just my opinion. There's not according to any sources or nothing. Yeah. Also, Calvin Ridley, who was suspended for placing a 3 and a 5 and an 8 team parlay totaling $1,500, and he wants everybody to know that he does not have a gambling problem because he only bet $1,500 in total. Which, for you that don't know what $1,500 means, it's $1,500 in the bank. Yeah. Calvin Ridley, he had a good rookie season, and then it's kind of falling off. Not falling off, but hasn't been Calvin Ridley his rookie season, and that's mostly because Julio Jones was on the other side, and they were mostly double teaming him, so he was open. And then Julio Jones obviously traded to the Titans, but yeah. And everybody's saying how like Calvin Ridley or like the NFL is like protecting the image more than protecting the women, which really like it's not the same situation because they were betting on the team, and in the first place, how are you going to have betting everywhere in your NFL, like sponsored everywhere? Like you have commercials and ads and everywhere from DraftKings and all this stuff, but when you catch a player doing it, and I know it's like Pete Rose for the Cincinnati Reds, he was a manager and he was betting on games. And he's not even allowed to be he's like shunned from the Hall of Fame. It won't get him in because of this. And I'm not saying Calvin Ridley's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm just saying, like, you shouldn't do it, but like, how are you going to promote it everywhere and have sponsors? And he's not the only one that's doing it either, I bet. But he's suspended for a whole year, and people say like, Ray Rice got suspended 2 games for beating his fiance. Adrian Pearson was only suspended 6 games for felony child abuse, which are way worse than what Calvin Ridley did, which I agree. But those are complete different situations, and that was a different time. And of course, they're going to make an example out of this Calvin Ridley, so nobody else is going to do it. But he's just going to have to bite the bullet. Falcons not going to be good next year anyway, so he can get healthy. Like he was saying, he's going to learn from his L's and get healthy. Which, Calvin Ridley, what's he going to lose this year? $11 million for not playing. So was it really worth it? I don't know how much money he has, but like probably don't need it. $11 million would be nice. To have extra $11 million. But all we can do is talk about it until it gets changed, because really, I don't know, that's how arguments get started, because everybody argues about something that they don't have any control over, and then that's how arguments get started, so just gotta chill. Um, Speaking of Jerry Jones, 25-year-old woman is suing Jerry Jones and alleging that he is her biological father. Court documents show Jones and the mother agreed on a settlement to financially support them as long as they didn't say he was the father. That's actually pretty crazy news because, like, it was just a Thursday and all this other stuff going on. And actually, like, guys, I'm telling you, Reddit is like the best place for news because I seen this on Reddit like a day before it was anywhere else. Reddit is the shit they don't want you to know. Sometimes it's not true. So then that's why you gotta do your own research. Reddit is just it's a platform that you do your own research. But anyways. Yeah. My voice is kinda raspy. I am waiting on the mailman and I'm keep checking out the window to see if he has my mail because I need it. And I also need to do my taxes too. Yeah. That's it for this video. Go ahead, leave a like, subscribe. Make sure to tell your friends, everybody you know about this podcast because one day everybody will know without me having to tell anybody.